Now, a UFO stopping an aircraft carrier? Huh? Jim's on the line. Jim, hi.
Good morning.
I take it you're in Maryland somewhere,
Yes.
huh?
Yes, in Maryland.
Okay, you worked for the NSA?
Yeah, for 21 years.
21 years
Yes.
for the NSA.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get into details, what's it like working for no such agency?
It's pretty stressful, actually.
That's an answer I would expect. Stressful. Yes, very stressful.
I'm a little kind of relieved that I'm not there anymore, to be honest with you.
You got canned?
Yeah, it didn't have anything to do with UFO, though. I was...
You weren't spying or anything?
No. Creating a disturbance in the workplace.
Oh,
I was...
Did you go postal at NSA, Jim?
No.
No?
No, not that bad.
Okay.
Just dissatisfied with a lot of waste that goes on and coworkers not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
You were a whistleblower.
Well, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
I got a little boisterous in my discontent.
So you went vocally postal?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think I've got the picture.
Yeah.
Well, that's a hell of a deal after 21 years. Do you get out of there with any retirement?
I have some money in the retirement system that I'll be able to draw on when I get a little older.
So
I'm in the trades. I have a good skill. I can do work. I'll be working. I'm not worried about that.
How does a skill that one uses in NSA translate to the civilian world?
Oh, I involved in electrical distribution and electricity, so I'll be able to work. All
right. Now, so you're willing to say something that you obviously could not say when you were working for the NSA.
Well, I was, it's one of those touchy subjects. Really didn't have too much to do with there. It was I was in the military. I was in the Navy and communications.
Yes.
In the 60s and 70s.
Uh-huh.
And I experienced a pretty terrifying experience on board the John F. Kennedy aircraft carrier one evening.
The John F. Kennedy?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us what you did on that aircraft carrier? I mean, what kind of job?
I worked in the communications department.
Communications, that figures, all right.
Yeah.
And so what happened?
Well, one evening all the communications went out. We heard on the intercom from a signal bridge that we heard a sailor yelling that God was here at the end of the world. And then another more rational sailor got on the intercom.
That God was here and it was the end of the world?
Yeah, that's what he was yelling. That God's here at the end of the world.
Might be a rational conclusion. What was he seeing?
Well, another sailor got on the intercom that was a little more rational, and he said there's something, all he said was there's something hovering over the ship. There's something over the ship. And I had heard from the other part of communications that all communications were out, voice and teletype. So a couple of us ran out. We were right below the flight deck. We ran out to the edge of the flight deck, looked up, and we saw this big glowing sphere hovering over the island structure, the center of the aircraft carrier.
A glowing sphere?
Sphere, yeah.
How high above, how big?
It was really hard to say. It was in the evening. The sun had just gone below the horizon. It was still somewhat light, but you really couldn't see the horizon. There was no reference point. If it was low, it would have been a couple hundred feet in diameter. If it was a little bit higher, say 6,000 or 7,000 feet, it would have been even bigger. But it was hard to judge. It looked to me a couple hundred feet in diameter.
Oh my! The only thing that I know, and I'm just a civilian. I was in the Air Force, but
right.
I've been a civilian a long time now. That could knock out everything. It's funny, a friend of mine wrote a book about this. That could knock out all the communications on an aircraft carrier would be an EMP pulse.
Yeah.
And a hell of a big one at that.
Yeah. Yeah, we have been briefed on that effect. Of course, years ago that was classified, EMP type of thing. Nobody knew if everybody knew about it, so it was classified then. But it not only knocked out communications, it knocked out everything electronic. All the radar ceased to work. Compasses were going around, and just about everything that was electronic wouldn't operate. And they couldn't even launch any planes. The planes wouldn't start. So we were actually helpless in the water. We were able to maneuver, we can move, but that was it. Nothing else worked. I only saw this object for a few seconds because battle stations were sounding, general quarters, and I had to go back to my station, which was in communications. But later that evening, we were up all night talking about it, and I
sure you were.
Yeah, I had been on the ship and knew a lot of the people, and I had been on there for a couple of years, and having had discussions with radar operators and people that were on the bridge. And
Jim, how many men would be on the John F. Kennedy, or probably in these days? In those days, was it just men, or do you have women?
Just men.
Just men. All right, so we can talk about that.
About 5,000 men.
About 5,000 men.
Yeah.
How many of those 5,000 do you think saw this, whatever it is?
Probably only about 20.
20.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I can explain that. It's very easy to explain. We had just completed a very long flight operations in excess of 20 hours. And the majority of the crew that normally worked on the flight deck were below, getting cleaned up, getting something to eat, rest, trying to get some rest. So by the time this event started and general quarters was sounded and the crew started arriving back on the flight deck, the object had gone. So, and even on a carrier, you cannot really get out into the open. The flight deck is restricted because of the dangers, and there's really very few places that you can go and observe the sky on a carrier when they're in full operations. So it seems incredible that out of 5,000 men, there were only maybe 15 or 20 eyewitnesses. That would be the bridge crew and anybody that did get back out on the flight deck.
And again, how long would you say the object hovered, and how long did you lose communications?
It was about 20 minutes.
And so when you lost communications, the aircraft carrier came to a dead stop?
No, we were able to move. We were able to move through the water and turn left and right, but that was about it.
Well, here's the thing, Jim, that has always puzzled me. Project Blue Book, the great whatever you want to think it was, the government issued, the Air Force said, the final conclusion was, well, yes, some of these are unexplained. We don't know what they are. However, they are not a threat to national security.
Right, not but. When they can stop an aircraft carrier, that's a threat as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I kind of thought the same thing about hovering over the missile silo.
Right.
That's deactivating American ICBMs, and then in another case hovering over a Russian missile silo and putting the damn thing into launch sequence.
Right.
Now, what if these things are not threats to national security? What is?
That's a good question. That's the $64,000 question. And of course, at the time of the event, and you were in the military, you know a little bit how the military thinks. Whenever they experience something they can't explain, they classify it.
Yes.
Because they don't know if they didn't know if this object was Russian, alien, Chinese.
No, that makes sense. Of course, yes.
So I never had to sign anything, but the commanding officer came on the closed circuit TV system to address the crew a few days later, which was standard procedure. And I'll never forget this as long as I live. He talks about the operational readiness exercise we had just completed and how we were going back to Norfolk and stand down, and we were going to deploy to the Med in a few months. And then at the very end of his speech, he said, "I would like to remind the crew that certain events that take place aboard a major naval combatant vessel are considered classified and not to be discussed with anyone without a need to know." And that was all that was ever said officially of the whole event, as far as I heard. And I've always been very patriotic, and having been patriotic, I didn't say a word about the event for years and years. And just recently, though, I've become very interested in the whole UFO phenomenon, and been thinking a lot about it. And I've started to tell people the story that happened. And like I said before, working where I was, I didn't want to bring any attention to myself at all, because it's a way that you can lose your clearance.
Of course.
Lose your job.
Of course.
So I never really say anything. But now that I'm a civilian again, right? I still can't talk about some things, but I don't know that much anyway. I just took care of electricity. But anyway, now that I don't have that pressure on me, I figured, well, might as well go ahead and tell some people about this. maybe I'll contact Dr. Greer.
Well, maybe you ought to contact Dr. Greer, and maybe there are others who, among the 20 or 30, who no doubt are listening and who will now come forward, Jim.
Yeah.
That's an incredible story.
Yeah, and you know, the quickening I have felt, I'm about your age, and I have felt in the past few years it's something, you know, you could just sense it. Like you said, the pit of your stomach, sometimes you just feel something. And
there's not a question about it.
Right, something's coming to a culmination. We just don't know what it is.
Jim, I appreciate your coming forward. It is really an incredible story. Now, if you, I guess, you know, if you went vocally postal on them and you would like to do any of that here, you're welcome to do it. In other words, what was going on that frustrated you so badly? Waste? I mean, we all like to hear where our black budget tax dollars are being wasted.
I've always been, you know, I'm a taxpayer too, and I don't want to see any waste. I want money well spent. Like I said, I'm very patriotic. During the Vietnam era, I didn't run off to Canada. I joined the military and, you know, served my country.
Here.
I didn't particularly like the situation that was going on, but I loved my country enough that I wasn't going to run off. But anyway, and I would see certain things happening where money was being wasted and people getting promoted that were incompetent and this type of thing. And it just gets on your nerves after a while. I always said I was never really suited for federal employment because I'm too conscientious.
I believe that's called the Peter Principle. That people are ultimately promoted to positions for which they are not qualified.
Right.
That is almost like a rule of nature. Law of nature.
I think so, yeah.
Uh-huh. And if they just keep quiet and don't make waves, they progress in the chain of advancement until they finally reach a position for which they're utterly not qualified.
Yeah. I had gone to schools. And it sponsored by them, and it didn't matter whether I would always put my best effort into it, and other people would just kind of sit back and coast through it. Well, we both got the same pay. We both got promoted. I didn't, get any extra recognition, and I'm just irritated. I always put forth a good effort, and other people would just sit there and like a bump on a log, and they just move right along, and it was irritating. It was very frustrating for a conscientious person.
Well, I'm sure that it was. So you really let go? I mean, how seriously did you let go?
It was a couple events, actually. It wasn't just one. It was. I always say, I kind of laugh now. I say I chewed out the boss one too many times. I would let it out no matter who was there, who it was. I didn't play the political game. I spoke my mind, and that's just not accepted
anymore.
No.
All right, Jim, my friend, thank you very much for coming on the air, and hopefully we will hear from others on this.
Talk to that guy from Washington State that had the hole.
Mel's hole, yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty skeptical about that.
Uh-huh.
Because of the fact that you asked him, you said, Mel, can you provide photographs of this? And he said,
that's right.
No.
Well, no, that isn't quite right. That's not quite right. What he said was, in the first interview, that he would indeed try to do that.
Uh-huh.
And when he went back, there were military people preventing him from getting back. He went in trying to get pictures.
Right. It's just that I heard all that, and he said, isn't there, some cameras that you know of, we have enormous technology as far as cameras go.
Yes.
There's no possible way he could ever get close enough to get a picture, because what my whole thing was on that is that you asked me, you said, can you draw us a picture? And he said, sure.
Yes.
You see, my thing with that is anyone could do that.
That's true.
Anyone could draw a picture, and anyone could say, this is what it is. And you asked me, have you involved the media? Have you involved any...
Right. I think you have every right to be skeptical about Mel's hole.
I was very, very, I was very interested in it. I heard it, I heard him discussing it on the, air. And if it's true...
But what you've got to remember is,
Uh-huh.
Strange Universe went up there with a television crew.
Right.
After I did that story.
Oh, really?
You didn't know that, huh?
No, I did not know that.
Yes. And one of their camera people
Uh-huh.
fell into the hole.
Yeah.
Never to be heard from again.
Never to be heard from.
The sound guy almost fell in, too.
What's that?
The sound guy almost fell into it.
Sound guy?
Yeah. Well, there was a cable, and, he damn near got dragged down with a camera guy.
And I heard you say that...
No, I'm kidding. They did go up there, though.
I was going to say, come on, that's a little far-fetched.
It is far-fetched. But what they did find was military boot prints all over the area and military markings all over the area.
Uh-huh.
And military track vehicles all over the area where Mel's Hole is supposed to be.
Right. I kept hearing him talk about it, and then I made notes about it because he said that the whole... I can't exactly remember the measurements on the diameter and everything. If it's, like I said, if it's true, it's very interesting, and, I hope it is. The world needs things like that.
Why?
We need things that we can
Why would the world need a bottomless hole?
Why do we need a bottomless hole?
Yep.
Because some things are just one of a kind, and it makes them more mysterious. It makes them hold certain meanings to people.
Have you ever considered this, though?
What's that?
Deep within the earth. We really don't know what's in the earth. I mean, you hear scientists say, well, it's an iron core. You hear scientists say, well, it's a molten core and it's hot.
Right.
You hear people talk about the hollow earth theory. You hear a lot of people say that there may be things that live deep within the earth.
Uh-huh.
Life. Now they're talking about science is saying there could be life deep within the earth.
Uh-huh.
And if you've got a hole that things can fall down, you've got a hole that things can crawl out of. That's
true. That is true.
Yeah. So
it's just, and he said even if it's not a bottomless pit like, he suggests, that it's the deepest hole in the world.
Well, he didn't say bottomless. He said that he ran the monofilament down X number of 7,000 feet, I think, and he found no bottom at that point. That's pretty far.
Okay, and this is another point I wanted to make. He has every constitutional right under the amendments to the military, even if it's the military. Even if.
My laugh. I know where you're going.
Okay, you know where I'm going with that?
Yeah, and you can't really get there.
And what I'm saying,
in other words, if you've got something, sir,
okay,
that affects national security,
which is a plane crashing there,
whatever, whatever. If you have something that is so serious that it would affect national security, and you could hold the Bill of Rights up and talk about them until the cows came home, and you'd still end up in a facility somewhere.
So you do think that the military has the right anyway? Well, I know they have certain rights to bend the rules a little bit, but do you think that
bend the rules?
What's that?
As you say, bend the rules?
Yeah, bend the rules, which means the Constitution and the rights.
Yes.
When I heard you're right, but when I heard it the first time, I was just saying to myself, if this is my property, and I had this kind of thing on my property, and I wanted to go investigate it, it's my property, I know that. So I'm going to go.
Well, they offered him a deal he couldn't refuse. They said, Mel,
they were the private.
You essentially you have two choices. You can lease this to us in perpetuity, or we can take it away from you. If we lease it, we'll pay you a bunch of money. You can go down to Australia and live happily ever after. Or
they were the people that were calling the...
or we can take it away from you. And if you don't think the government can do that, let me show you what's happened here in Nevada.
What's happened?
Around Area 51.
Oh, okay.
Okay? They just annexed all kinds of land. They just said, that land is now ours.
Right. I don't get how that can...
So you know where that song says, this land is your land?
It's
not
bogus.
All of it.
Hi, Art. This is Craig from Southeast Michigan.
How you doing, Craig?
Oh, not bad. I've been trying to get hold of you for a long time now. I saw the same thing you did, the black silent triangles.
Oh, yes. Well, many people have seen triangles or boomerangs, the latest mass sighting being in Las Vegas a couple of days ago.
Well, I think I might know what it is. I do want to think that it's not from this world, but I live by Selfridge Air National Guard Base, and 4 of these were flying from that direction. It was like 3 years ago to the date, and they were perfect triangles. 3 of them were in a triangle formation, And the fourth one was flying from the outside of the triangle to the inside, backwards to the outside.
Were they making any noise?
No, none at all.
How high up were they?
Well, I thought it was a low ceiling that night because I live off a main thoroughfare, and it's well lit, and, you know, it was like an orange sky that night.
Yes.
And so I thought that the ceiling was kind of low, and so I estimated that they were the size of a regular military jet.
And how fast did they appear to be going?
They appeared to be going slower than a Cessna, than a small single-engine plane.
All right, the one I saw was doing about 30 miles an hour. There's nothing that I know of that will support itself in aerodynamic flight at that speed, way, way, way below the stall speed of just even a hang glider.
Yeah, well, I saw a program where two guys described the same thing that I saw, and they said it was called the Black Manta TR-3A. I don't know if that...
Yeah, but that has a propulsion system that one would hear.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't hear that.
But, in other words, something has to push it along, something has to support it. It has to be pushed along at a speed that will provide lift. That's my understanding of aerodynamic flight. And all the airplanes I've been in have one way or the other done that. And I've been in everything from hang gliders to the Concorde. So, you know, what I saw, I can't account for in terms of any sort of conventional explanation at all. Not at all. And does that mean or guarantee it's from somewhere else? No, of course not. But if we could follow it, it's a big story either way. That's the way I look at it.
I want to expand a little bit about the gentleman earlier concerning the secret societies.
Which ones?
Well, I've got some more societies for you.
All right.
Jason Society, the Order of the Quest, and I can tie them into...
Wait a minute. Slow down. Okay. Was that the Jason Society?
Uh-huh.
And the Order of what?
The Order of the Quest. The Order of the Quest?
The Order of the Quest.
Oh, yeah. And the
Sounds
Cabal.
like a video game.
It does.
What is the Order of the Quest, out of curiosity?
The Order of the Quest and the Jason Society are the new societies that were developed between the heads of the Trilateral Commission and the Council on Portable Nations.
CFR.
Mm-hmm. These are the people that are leading us.
And what Order of the Quest? And Jason, what are the goals of these organizations?
They are leading us into the new Armageddon. They're leading us into an artificial Armageddon, the New World Order, the distrust of the people.
So their goal is to initiate Armageddon?
They're doing it right now, Art.
Why would they want to bring on Armageddon? That's a central question. I mean,
yeah. Let me help you there. The Freemason, the 33rd degree Freemason.
Yes.
There's a split of the two. There's a 33rd degree Mason that doesn't have any idea what's going on, and then there's a 33rd degree Mason that moves on to the Knights Templar that moves forward to help with the. That moves forward to try to help with the.
See, now there will be people. They're going to call up. I guarantee, and they're going to say this is so much crap.
Oh, I
know that there are not secrets, and I've been in doubt of that, and suspecting the kind of thing you're talking about right now.
Uh-huh.
So you're saying even within the 33rd degree Mason, there is a split.
There is a split, yes.
But why, going back to my first question, why would they want to bring on Armageddon?
Well, because there has to be an order. Okay, the light. Okay, the Lucifer.
Yes.
The Illuminati. That was named after the Lucifer. The Luciferian Illuminati are the direct, the predecessor of the Knights Templar. They are in charge of bringing this light into our world. The light is another explosion of another star.
Wait a minute. You had me for a minute. Now you're losing me. The light,
I know.
The Luciferian light,
yes.
I understand, that they would bring Lucifer to reign on Earth, roughly, right?
To bring a full-time light to where our sun that's shining now, there would be another star that would be shining, and we would have full-time light. This has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with a new world order, a controlling of this earth. I can tell you who the people that are involved that are doing it. People like George Bush.
George Bush.
Yeah.
George Bush. And now his son seems unstoppable.
Well, look at all the things they're bringing up against him. He's still going to be unflappable.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, Elizabeth Dole just dropped out today. I mean, it's obviously going to be Bush, Gore.
Yes, and I'll tell you this.
It's going to be the most boring damn election we've ever had.
There is. You're exactly right. But Gore is involved. I mean, there's so many people that are involved in this deal.
I have held the view for a long time, and if it turns out to be Bush-Gore, I honestly hold the view that there's not 2 cents worth of difference in the way they will govern.
They can't do anything. They're not in control. They're just a fantastic figurehead. They're able to communicate.
I actually don't doubt that. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Well, somebody's on your line.
No, I had to change my phone line.
Well, that's good. Otherwise, you're in mortal danger.
No, I'm on a scrambler. I know better.
Yeah, listen, that's good. Well, you're on a scrambler, and then, of course, you're on 500 radio stations nationwide, too.
Well, that's okay. I want to get this information out to the people that need to know.
Yes, I understand.
But as far as the societies are concerned, you know why the societies were created? The societies were created because the people that were in charge, and the gentleman that was talking about the Chiru.
Yes.
The serpent guy.
You understand? You agree there is a Chiru?
Yes, and he would have already. It sounds like he's been discommunicated from that group because he would have already been involved and higher up and would have never called in.
Well, then how could he know what he knew?
Well, he knows that the Chiru is definitely a society or a smaller society that is put in place to protect the Vatican and its knowledge. That's true. The serpent and the snake are two different societies. The snake, yes, did originate from the Sumerian Babylonian times.
The Chiru is a subset of the serpent, right?
Yes.
Or an action arm of the serpent.
Exactly. Now you've heard of, or we used to watch Shogun and all these masters of the martial arts.
Yes.
Okay, that's been around for many, many, many millennia. Those are some of the things that they do teach to protect the knowledge. That's for sure. Spiritual and physical. Being able to magically be in one place fighting and then move to another ability.
All right, listen, I am at the bottom of the hour. Can you hold on?
I would love to talk more. I need to tell you some more things.
And we need that time to trace this call, so
please don't do that.
Stay right there, okay? You're back on the air, sir. Thank you for waiting, and we've got your number now and your address, as well as your Social Security number, and a couple of scars there on your body, too.
How did you know that?
Well,
you're good, man.
Anyway, getting back to the serious side here. So this really is, Chiru is a real thing.
It is, and I don't want to, actually, to be honest with you, I don't want to go back to early times. I mean, it's a lot of fun going to, looking at where all the secret societies originated from, but the most important part is the nowadays.
All right.
People that live in, let me go over the list, just in case for all your listeners, if you've ever been, I heard the lady that was talking to you earlier about her encounters. Be careful with these people because they've got great fronts.
Talking about the Solar Temple.
I am.
Yeah.
Okay. I did speak about the Order of the Quest and the Jason Society. Now, those two you probably won't be able to get into. Nobody really goes into those because those are people that are heads of state that really make all the decisions for this New World Order turnaround. But the Rosh Hashanah and the Kabbalah and the Knights Templar, the Knights of Malta, which is exactly what George Bush is a member of, the Knights of Columbus, the Jesuits, the Masons, the ancient and mystical order of the Rosicrucians, which is actually the Rosicrucians, the Illuminati, the Nazi Party, the Communist Party, some executive members of the Council on Foreign Relations, and there's another society that's called the Group that nobody's probably ever heard of.
The Group?
The Group.
Now, I never have heard of the Group.
Have you ever seen, well, I'm not going to go into that. You might really be able to find me then. Brotherhood of the Dragon, the Rosicrucians, the Royal Institute of International Affairs, the Trilateral Commission, which everybody's ever heard of, the Bilderberg Group, which was originally started out this socialist totalitarianism that they're trying to get to, the Open Friendly Secret Society, which is the Vatican, the Russell Trust.
I want to read you something and see if you agree with it. What I'm going to read to you is from the BBC News, all right?
Okay. And another media organization.
Okay, but October 2nd, BBC News. The headline is Death to the New World Order.
Uh-huh.
The conspiracy theory about the New World Order is not new, but it is one that everyone is talking about and taking seriously as we draw closer to the year 2000. A growing number of Americans are so convinced that the New World Order is about to take power that they are making plans to fight back, stockpiling foods, weapons, ammunition. Major Boyd is a trooper in the New Mexico militia, an armed unit of volunteers, farmers, salesmen, former police officers who are preparing to take the New World Order on. There are 19 million armed American patriots, it says here. This is the BBC, ready to take their country back.
I love the BBC. Good luck. It won't happen. I'm glad for them, but it's just a great sensationalized news story.
But you're really saying the same thing. You're just saying there's no chance.
There really isn't a chance. They've already got a foothold, Art. It's not going to happen. But I will say this. It's going to happen. It won't happen overnight. It's happening on a day-to-day basis. You just can't see it happen because they're very well organized. Now, let me explain why. Our world, and you will see this, and so will your listeners, because it's very logical. Our world, in terms of our music, our language, our mathematics, our computers, everything is done on numerals. Everything is number-based.
Yep.
Now, the Vatican is in control of the largest computer in the world. And in that computer...
I thought the CIA had the biggest computer.
Where do you think the CIA is originally organized?
The Vatican?
Exactly.
I should have known.
Yeah. Anyway, that computer controls not only the population of our Earth and the population of the people of the first, second, and third worlds, but it also controls the finance, insurance, weather-related accidents, anything that has to do with monetary or binary codes. Those two things are the most important part of the ways that they are going about our destruction. Now, I don't mean the destruction of the people overall.
It's like a computer even beyond the Cray?
Oh, well, I would call it, you remember the HAL 9000?
Oh, yeah.
This would be the Cray 9000.
Or the Pope Plus.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
But what their goal is totalitarian socialism. And it's very simple. It just means that the people that are in charge of this earth right now, the 10 heads, the G7 nations, they don't trust anybody. They don't trust anybody to lead them to destroy us. In other words, the little wars that we fight with Muammar Gaddafi and the little heads, and the guy that our government put into power originally a long time ago over there in Iraq. I don't even want to say his name because it just makes me sick. They will not even destroy Iraq. They won't go in to kill.
No, it's true.
Because there are secret relics. There are things there that they cannot destroy.
I do believe that.
Well, Zechariah talks about it.
I know. Well, no, I do believe it. Yeah. I do believe it. Iraq is simply absolutely full of that kind of thing.
Oh, well, it's completely off limits because that's where Babylonia and Sumerian was originally, where they were originally started up. And but I do want to talk to the listeners just for a second about the societies because it's most important to them. You watch the X-Files. I mean, everybody watches the X-Files that listens.
As a matter of fact, I'm probably going to have Chris Carter on next week.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
A very enlightened individual. I enjoy his work. Half the things on there are far-fetched, but some of the things on there are nowadays. And
look, Chris Carter deals with the edge of reality. In other words, I've been on a couple of his programs, and let me tell you that I think I said this once before on the air. In the show that I was on, I was privileged to be on. it was about somebody who had a disease from the Gulf War.
Mm-hmm.
And in the original script, they called it what it really is called, Microplasma incognitus.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in the original script they sent me. And when I got up to Canada to do the shoot, they had changed the name of the disease.
I do remember you telling that.
Yeah, it's the truth.
Oh, no,
But, I mean, that's how close to the edge of reality Mr. Carter dances.
Oh, he really is. And how about the last episode of last year? Was that verbatim, word for word, Zechariah's Kitchen, or what?
Yep. Listen, sir, I'm going to have to go. I've devoted a lot of time. You're a really good call, but I'm going to have to scoot. Any final words?
Yeah, final word. I would like to try to bring out a dragon, and here's how I want to bring him out. If you are a dragon, anyone who's listening, I would like to say this, that there will be an explosion. The explosion will be on a planet in our solar system. It will be caused by the people of Earth who are in control, and it will be utilized by the little space maneuvering ability of Galileo. When that happens, that's when you want to go out and start looking for your guns, start storing food and water, because Y2K is nothing but a shock test. That's all I got to say.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you. And, yeah, I'd like to talk to a dragon, too. But I kind of doubt a dragon will call. Well, you never know.
I have an idea that more of us have been abducted than people think. And I think it's probably ancestral.
Well, a straight-on question. Do you believe that you have been abducted?
Oh, most definitely.
I thought so.
Yeah, I believe 3 generations of my family have.
Really?
Yes.
Why do you think you've been abducted?
Well, I had an experience where I remembered being abducted, but it was in the past long ago, and you didn't talk about things like that. And, in fact, that's why I didn't give you my name, because...
That's quite all right. How distinct are your memories of the abduction?
Well, we went to bed at night, and like we normally do, we got in underneath the covers, and we woke up the next morning, and our bedspread was on us, and the sheets was on top of the bedspread. And I had a mark on my arm that was like a burn that had never been there, and we had strange remembrances of something happening during the night.
How much can you remember?
Some, but not too much. But as far as I know, it wasn't a threatening experience to me.
Do you remember? Yes. Well, perhaps not. But that may be a memory inserted, or something.
Exactly.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes. And you believe this has been going on for 3 generations?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. That's typical of abduction, of course. It is a generational. It seems to follow families and family trees and generations. No question about that. First person that would certainly tell you that would be Bud Hopkins, one of the nation's leading researchers in this area. Question is, what are they doing? Why are they taking people, and what are they doing with them? And for what purpose? It appears to be reproductively oriented, perhaps genetically oriented. The purpose, we're not sure. There are a lot of guesses. All right, back into the night we go, and on my clinical death line, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you, and what's your first name?
My first name is Maury.
Maury, okay. Where are you, Maury?
I'm in Montana.
Montana, okay.
Uh-huh.
What happened to you?
Is this Art Bell?
Well,
sure.
I'm so
thrilled.
I'm the only...
I'm just so thrilled.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I had a pulmonary embolism.
Oh, bro.
And blood clot went to my heart and lung. Of course, I didn't know it then, but I was clinically dead.
Yeah, that's usually fatal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
An embolism, and so your heart stopped.
Yes, it stopped. I was dead, and I was up. What I remember was I was in ER. I wasn't when it happened.
Well, let's go back. Where did this happen?
Oh, I had gone to the hospital because I wasn't feeling well. They did a test, run some blood and things, and found out that my blood was too thick, so they put me in medical. And they were administering stuff into my veins.
Gotcha. Probably blood thinners, the biggest of which is Coumadin. It's really something.
Yeah.
But they give you blood thinners, yes.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't breathe, and I remember saying, I'm going to die. And the next thing, I woke up in the ER after dying. And
Did they tell you how long you had been gone? Ever?
No, just my records. They say clinically dead.
Clinically dead, yeah.
Uh-huh. And
okay.
and what I remember was I was up on the ceiling in the ER room looking down at the doctor who was above me working on me, and there was 2 nurses at the foot of my bed, and one of them took her stethoscope and she put it on my foot or on my feet.
Right.
And she said, I'm afraid, doctor, we've lost her. And I said, oh, no, you haven't. I'm not done yet.
You really saw all of this in this much detail?
Yes. And I slipped back into my body. And when I opened my eyes, the doctor was just taking this big needle out of my heart.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And so you remember the nurse saying, I'm afraid we've lost her, and you said...
I said, oh, no, I'm not ready yet.
You went back into your body.
Yeah.
As he pulled a needle from your heart.
Right.
That's some timing, ma'am.
I'll tell you, it sure changed my life. I think that you just learn what you really value.
How old were you at that point? How long ago was this?
Oh, this was 1987.
87.
Uh-huh.
Well, let's see. This is soon 2002, huh? So you've done pretty well. You're still here.
I'm still here.
Thank you for the story.
Oh, thank you.
Wow. How do you account for that? How do you account for that? Do you suppose some people are allowed to make their own decision? In other words, as you hover above your body, seeing what that lady saw, do you think that if she had said, okay, then I'm out of here, she would have just gone on, they put a tag on her toe, she'd been on the way to the morgue? Or did she make her own decision to come back? This really is a kind of a morbid fascination, but it's one of the great ways we're going to approach the truth about life after death. It's one of the closest ways I can think of to try and nail it down. And boy, I'll tell you, we're getting close to nailing this thing down.